Welcome to the Conscious Living Podcast, conversations to educate, empower, and enlighten our world. An uplifting and inspiring series of conversations and talks with your host, Jackie Woodside. We are educating minds, empowering lives, and enlightening souls to create a world where love prevails. In this engaging podcast, we deliver exciting, positive, transformative talks and teachings designed to elevate your life. Now, let's join our host, Jackie Woodside, for this week's session.
Hi there, Jackie Woodside here, the host and the founder of the Conscious Living Podcast, where we are here to educate, empower, and enlighten our world. Thank you so much for joining us again today for another episode of the Conscious Living Podcast. I'm excited to bring to the stage today someone who is a friend and colleague, who is a really skilled, intuitive, and healer. My friend Darielle Archer is a certified hypnotherapist with over 25 years experience. She's a mindset coach, energy healer, Feng Shui Consultant, adventurer, and speaker. Oh my goodness, I don't know how she fits all of that into her life. She's also the author of The Thriving Code and a healing and protection guide for daily living. She's the author of Too Many Negative People, a handbook for peace in times of stress, and also the book Earth Vibrations about gems and minerals. Wow, what a wide body of knowledge you have, Darielle. Welcome to the show. Why don't you go ahead and say a little bit more about yourself so our listeners can get to know you?
Thank you, Jackie, for having me here in this opportunity to talk to your audience. I am an adventurer. My mind, I'm one of these people that I'm blessed. I sleep 4 hours a night. I wake up recharged. People call me, it's like you always have energy. And it's been that way. So I have an extra 4 to 8 hours every day. So people think that sounds like a lot, but you add up an extra 8 hours over, 30 or 40 years, you have a whole nother lifetime or two of things that you can do.
Wow.
So when you put it in that context,
Yeah. How do you function on 4 hours of sleep a night?
Oh, when I go to sleep, it's like, I think I'm, they check for signs of life. My mother used to come in and she'd put a mirror under there. She says, when you go out, your chest doesn't move, there's no signs that you're alive.
Oh, wow.
Oh, she would wake me up. My husband does sometimes. And I says, when I'm gone, it's like, I go to a peaceful, happy place, but I go to recharge. And that's what I say. I'm going to sleep my 4 hours is everybody else's 8.
Wow, I love that. I'm sure the brain health people would have opinions about your sleep schedule, but I love it. I'm jealous. That's fantastic.
And I don't believe in aging either.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I got it.
It's energy.
Life is energy. So let's go there a little bit. I know that's one of your passions and one of the areas that you coach around as a Feng Shui consultant and as a mindset coach. So tell us about, your work around energy, ye who sleeps 4 hours a night. Because I distinguish, also as a coach, I distinguish between energy and vitality. So you have a lot of vitality that you are able to sustain on 4 hours of sleep. But, tell us about how you manage your energy and your vitality and how you work with people around that.
I think the biggest thing is that for myself, it's like you really want to be sort of the poster child of whatever it is you want to teach, to know your stuff. And so I do. I love the martial arts and Qigong and breathing. And to me, one of the biggest things I do every day is I go outside and I just breathe in like the sun, like it's energy and light into my system recharging. And I can actually feel that. And on the rare occasions where I'm not out there and it's not sun, even if it's rain, I'm going to go out there and get because there's still light. But over the years as a hypnotherapist, I found that it wasn't just a person's mindset, but when we change their environment, they get home, it's like, oh, Dario, I had such a great session. I came home and it's like, oh, I says, well, tell me about it. Oh, it's like I drove up to my house. I don't like the front yard. I drove into the garage. It's like, they suck the air to the next block because there's so much to do. And so it's like managing, those pieces of our life to bring the vitality in. And I always say that when you have a project, you start out all energized.
Yeah. Right.
Right. I'm at the start. I'm hot. I'm a rock star. And then you get to the middle and then you get to the messy middle, and then you get to the 2/3, and you're kind of dropping down there. And I always tell my clients is go back to the start, bring that energy to where you are, then look to what you want. What empowered you? What motivated and activated you? What's waiting for you as you cross that line?
Right? Yeah.
And it gets them going there. So for me, life is an adventure. Every moment we're in a state of transition and transformation. And our words have the energy behind them. I like myself. Yay, I don't like myself. And we can feel our body goes up and down just by the words and the energy behind those words in our environment. I always tell people your house is talking to you. Do you treat it like your best friend, or do you treat it like, oh, I'm really mad at you and I'm not going to do this or that or keep you up? And there's a great children's book. I think it's called The Little House, that was beautifully taken care of, and then it was neglected over the years, and then somebody came back and bought it and moved it back to the country, and it was taken care of. Well, energy is like that as well.
So you have to pay attention to your energy. You have to listen to your energy. You have to befriend your energy.
You invite it in. You invite it. You may feel good emotionally. You may not feel so good physically. And to really take care of our physical being and our physical environment really adds to that. Or finding something like, I have a card that I've had from Louise Hay for years that says, all is well in my world.
Oh, nice.
I keep it on my desk. And so when all is not feeling so well, I look at my card and thought, yeah, it really is. And again, it's those words. What do I want to give my energy and time? What am I giving my life to? And does it have the value that I want?
Oh, that's so rich. That is the formula for conscious living. What am I giving my life to? And am I giving it the energy I want? That is brilliant. And, that's one of the reasons I started this podcast. I'm not sure. I don't think enough people ask that question, of what am I giving my life to? What am I using this one precious life to contribute and to create and to experience? Am I actually being present, conscious to create the life that I desire?
And another aspect that I think that adds to my vitality and energy is I love to laugh. And I love to find things that make me laugh, or I'll just see the humor of watching nature. I mean, from my door, I have coyotes, and I have merlins, I have squirrels and rabbits and quails and bunnies. And for me, it's just this interchange of watching nature is very funny, but it's always in motion. And I think so many of us are vitiated. We get in front of a little box and we're like this. And there's you sink your chest down, you don't oxygenate your lungs, the tips of our lungs, and they don't get enough oxygen, and then you can get all sorts of like breathing difficulties or like the pneumonias and that, because the lungs are life. You want life. When I breathe in, it's just like I'm breathing in life, and when I exhale, and in Feng Shui, that's part of to be a really good certified consultant is basically you're giving an energy transfusion. And that's really what an energy healer does. The person is open, you give them extra energy till they can bring up their own, you hold them, and then they fly out on their own and can do it. But sometimes we just, it's the other vitamin E energy.
Nice. I love that. You give them energy. You and I were talking before we got on the podcast about things that drain our energy and things that give us energy. Talk about that concept so that people can start reflecting on their own lives, because I do think that's part of conscious living, of really paying attention to what things feed my energy, what things drain my energy, and doing more of the former and less of the latter. So let's go into that topic a little bit.
All right. A class that I teach a lot in, and I really was given this great understanding with my clients in hypnotherapy. They would say, I just feel like I've been sucked dry, like a vampire came by and sucked, or I was their gas station. And so a lot of times, you'll be in that high state and suddenly you can't focus, or you'll your vision goes funny or you're hyperventilating. You suddenly get very nervous or hyper around a loud noise or lights. And one of the ones that I found was most interesting is you start to get bloated because it's around that third chakra, our personal power. So it goes for protection. So it plumps itself up for protection.
Oh, interesting.
And then the ability, to sleep well. And a lot of people, when they're dealing with somebody like that, and we've all had that moment where we're ready and something wonderful is about ready to happen, and then we get sidetracked over here. It can be an event that something happens suddenly that we weren't prepared for. And I always say, have the fudge factor. Something can happen. Give yourself some leeway and imagine, good, bad, indifferent. And I always say, take whatever it is, walk around it upside down to side and look at from above and from down, down below and say, okay, if these things happened, what am I going to do with my energy? If somebody's pulling it out, and often it's our nears and our dears that can take us out of these states, or we'll hear, they don't even have to say anything. It can be a look or a tone, or it can be a dismissive look of some sort. And they don't mean it in that way to hurt, but we take it that way. And so being aware of when you move from that, happier state and to bring it back. And I always say that when you feel that way, we used to call it like getting slimed almost. There's like an energy residue of things that happens to us. And we don't see clearly. Our visual acuity, our ability to process narrows down. I can't find my keys. I lost my briefcase. I can't find my shoes, that match. It's like, oh my goodness, and all of these other things have this cascading effect rather than just stopping for a moment, breathing in. I always say, I put myself in a bubble and I fill it up with as many good things as I can think of. A blue bubble for communication, and then pink on the inside for love and divine love. And I feed myself back that till I can step away from that situation and say, okay, I need you to step back. What is it you really want? If I can give it to you, I will. What's going to settle? What do you need? Yes, we have complainers and people who've been in a situation for a long time. And so I always ask them, what have you done differently? Nothing. It's like, well, then we really don't have anything more to talk about. So talk to me when you've done something new, because there's no energy to play off of anything new.
So you don't engage with what I call negaholics or complainers. You just don't engage. You say, what have you done differently? What have you tried? And if it's nothing, you say, well, come back after you've tried something different.
Right. Well, there's nothing that you can help them with. And so, I say it could be as easy as calling up a school to take a class, or going down to the park and talking to some new people. It could be changing your hairstyle, something new that you have done that will give energy, a new energy to come into your life that you can use. And the energy vampires, they like drama. Yeah. They always have something.
Right? So talk about that a little bit, energy vampires and how they thrive on drama.
Well, they literally take our power. They come, like what you were saying, the negative people, the negative holics. They're addicted to the drama because they walk away feeling good because they have your energy, and you open your little heart and you're a giver, and you're the gas station and you could hear the sucking noise as they're walking away. They have a full tank and you have an empty tank. And they don't do it deliberately. That's just their coping mechanism because they've never learned self-recharging and that self-love. And so that they're always taking that away. We've had teachers like that. We have friends or spouses or children. And so, part of like what I choose to do is help people. It's like, so, hey, let's go play a game. And I would take half of our therapy sessions would be outside and walking. Okay, so on this side is negativity and this side is energy and happiness. And so we walk one side of the doorway would be one. It's like, oh, I don't like this. And we'll walk on the other side. And they would like that feel. And I said, so suck it up, breathe it in, fill up on it. Now, describe what you would like to go do. And we'll spend the time walking around a park or in the yard or down the street about, oh, there's a tree. Oh, it's really beautiful. Then feel that beauty inside and fill up on it.
Nice. These are such good strategies, Darielle, for raising your energy, for practicing self-care, and for being conscious about how you can protect your energy and also fill yourself in terms of self-care practices. I love that you're talking about being in nature. That's absolutely one of my favorite self-care remedies. And there's so much research to back up how being in nature feeds our energy and lifts our mood and supports our well-being. I love what you're saying about being mindful of toxic relationships and keeping other people's energy over in their space and keeping your energy over in your space. It's what I call having emotional boundaries or even energetic boundaries of not letting people, kind of walk all over you emotionally or energetically. Are there other ways that you help your clients kind of raise that vibe? Oh, breathing in deep breaths, breathing in positivity. What are some other ways that you help people manage their energy?
I tell them to stop whatever it is you're doing and come back into your body, because I find a lot of like mothers and caregivers, highly sensitive people, highly creative people. Literally, you can almost see they're lifting out of their body, and their eyes are, their feet are at their eyes wiggling as they're leaving their body because they tune out. And you can see that talking to somebody, and you can hear that silence that they're no longer there.
Interesting.
So I have them come back in.
Come back in. Okay. And do they recognize that they're checking out?
They do. They feel it. It's like, oh, I don't know what happened. I just checked out for a moment. It's like, what did you? And you'll say, it's like, what did you say? Or it's like, that was really good. I was processing that first part. Explain it to me again. Because when we check out, we don't want to face something. We don't want to look at it or hear it. And that's oftentimes with energy vampires why we have problems with our eyes, is because we don't want to see what's currently facing us.
Yeah, for sure. When we have energy vampires, we have trouble with our eyes. How have you seen that before?
You suddenly get blurry vision. You suddenly recognize that person is toxic. It's like you have that moment of insight and you're like, no, I don't want to see that. It's like, accept the reality and you have a choice. Do I want to be there? Do I want to engage? Do I want to put a 15-minute timer on them or go ring my doorbell that says, hey, gee, I have to go. Somebody's at the door now.
Right.
It's limiting that exposure, but those moments of insights, we think that we have to take an immediate action rather than stepping back, looking at a larger picture and saying, what are my options? What can I choose? And you can always tell when it's a vampire. When you withdraw your energy, they keep trying to come closer and closer and closer because you're feeding them.
Yeah. I have that experience at parties sometimes, and I'm sure other people can relate to this. Like, I want a little bit of physical distance between me and the person who's chatting with me. So I'll take a tiny, almost imperceptible step backwards, and then they take an almost imperceptible step forward. And I'll do another step back, and if we go on long enough, we're all the way on the other side of the room going backwards. And
it's the energy dance.
Yeah, the energy dance. Exactly. How did you develop this awareness? Again, Darielle, what I love about what you're saying is that everything you're talking about is about living consciously, paying attention to how you feel, noticing when you're feeling drained, noticing when you're around energy vampires, and having good emotional boundaries around that. How did you come to this awareness and your ability to do this and see this?
I think it's always been with me as long as I can remember. Growing up a lot in the hills of West Virginia, you were always in nature and you had to be aware and present because your life did depend on it. Because you had all sorts of snakes and mountain lions and all sorts of things. And and I walked the hills by myself. I loved it early morning and that to walk, and so that awareness kept you alive. If you're calm, you're going to survive. If you're, all over the place, you don't make an informed decision. And so for me, it was just observing. And then good training in the police department was like my first job, and being in records and, issuing gun permits, and then I did records and warrants, and then went to dispatching and data, and it just was an awareness. And then, that next job was just engaging with people, police and firemen, who had disabilities, and just observing, when they were on top of their game, when they weren't, what they needed. And you could feel this. There's actually a physical sensation, and we all feel it, like somebody's good at the grocery store, at the post office, or you can feel when a car comes up, your sort of own energy hackles go up, and you go, oh, this person, or you watch him drive and you go, okay, I'm going to fall back here a little. That our body is a great radar system. And I think for me, I was just a natural observer.
Nice.
And that awareness.
Yeah. You've been doing hypnotherapy for a long time. How do you use that in your practice?
I teach people to really go in, because to me, your unconscious and your symbols are the closest to your soul that you can get.
Ooh, wait, what do you mean by that?
Well, it's like when you're in that, your unconscious mind, that state, there are messages that come to you. It's like, so tell me about that. And you ask them questions, you say, so describe that to me. And where are you? And describe your feelings. You don't ask them, well, was it like this? You ask them, describe it to me. Oh, that sounds very interesting. Is there anything else? Did a color, do you have a smell, or is there a sound, or, you go into whatever they present. And the unconscious is our symbols. It doesn't work in words. It only works in feelings and symbols. And so there's a lot of messages that come through to people. And there are hypnotherapy sessions where people go, I don't want to talk about this. So we would do our whole sessions with our hands. Can you get your hands to come together? And, this is the part of you that wants to heal, and this is the part of you that don't. And, and it's like they would have this wrestling match, and you could watch it, and there was nothing said. And it's like, okay, so, and I would, ask them, if you don't want to talk out loud, then describe to yourself what it is. And can you guys come to an agreement? And then you would watch the hands, and they'd come together, and they'd drop their hands, and they'd come to an agreement. So it was very powerful. And the man I learned it from was called Miracles on Demand, Charles Tebbets. And part of us that wants to be well, and part of us that doesn't. And the part that doesn't want to get well is the strongest, because it says, well, and it wants something. And it's generally a younger part that has some unmet deep need. And so you fill it, and you want it to feel protected and to loved and nurtured, that you're always going to be there. And so if I give you this, can you give me this? And if you don't like it, you can always dissolve the agreement, but try it for a week or two. And if you like it, keep it. If you don't, we'll work on something else.
Nice. So are people actually hypnotized when you do that?
You can be a light trance, or you can be a very deep trance. But once they go into that state of hypnosis, there's like the hypnotic mask, but you can't fake that. Your muscles go relax, your jaw. I mean, it's beyond relaxation, and the breathing, alters, and the skin tones, and the colors in your ears and your fingertips. Things change.
Yeah.
And you can do it with a lot of people. Says, well, I don't really want to do that. I want my eyes open and everything. It's like, okay, so then we will just do talking hypnosis.
And how do you do talking hypnosis? What does that mean?
It's just, you have them. It's like, okay, so tell me something that you love. Go into that feeling. And oftentimes they'll start to close their eyes. It's like, okay, so expand that feeling.
Yeah.
Describe it. How do you, tell me about how your feet feel, or how does your back feel? How does your heart feel? Is there any part of you that's like, well, my stomach's really pissed off today because, it's like we didn't eat so good today, or we haven't eaten, and I'm still so mad at what happened 3 days ago. And it will talk to you. So you have that part of their body talk to them and give them insights.
Wow.
So it's a great adventure, and everybody's a great detective novel, and you help them solve their own mysteries.
Yeah, yeah. So do you connect hypnotherapy with energy work? Are they in the same school of thought or different?
I think that there's energy behind when you tell somebody think of something, their energy goes to somewhere.
Okay.
They'll think of I remember this place. They remember they remember the feeling, the energy. It's like, oh, that was not so good of a party. It's like, oh, I always love when I meet with these people. If they're happy and their yard is so beautiful and I just feel like I belong. And they're talking about the energy. So those descriptions, I think they're like part and parcel of each other. That
Okay.
I don't think that you can separate so much because once you close your eyes or you talk about something, there's an energy, and that's what you've connected to. And then the symbols of that energy.
Wow. And do people hire you to do hypnotherapy with them? Is that part of your practice?
It was part of my practice.
Yeah.
I do more like in group practice. I did, one-on-one for decades and then, group. And now I just teach people how to all hypnosis is really self-hypnosis. You can't make anybody do something unless they would do it automatically against their will. So it's like, what do you choose to do? And then walk them through that state of, these are things that you can do. How do you want to do them? What's one thing that you choose to do?
Wow. And what do you see as the benefit of self-hypnosis or of hypnotherapy?
Of all hypnosis, it gives people their power back. It allows them to solve their problems, to see from many different directions, what's the thing that's holding them back. And they're furnished their own psyche and unconscious furnishes the answer.
Wow.
Nobody's giving them, it's like not me. It's like, well, here's the answer. It's like, yeah, I can show you some things that will augment, and I always ask them, bring back something from it. Did you bring back a symbol? Did you bring back an understanding? It's like, well, I didn't get it. And then before they leave, you'll ask them, it's like, you know what? I did get something. I didn't realize it at the time. And often it's so subtle because we're not there in the energy or we don't recognize it. Or they'll call back and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe what really happened. I just blew it off. And it was like, this was really amazing. And so I teach them how to do it themselves. And we do it all the time. Anytime we visualize or we're learning something, we're in that, and hypnosis doesn't mean sleep. It means really one pointed focus where your unconscious becomes the forefront and the conscious mind becomes the background, and they just switch places.
Wow, I love that. What a powerful practice. So now you teach people to do that for themselves.
Right. In classes and energy work and teach them. And often people say, well, what if I'm the vampire? And I says, tell me, if you were the vampire, you will know how people react to you. They'll go, oh my gosh, they'll pull back, or you can just feel that change in the room, or you'll feel that you're taking more than you're giving.
Yeah. Yeah. How has it helped your life, Darielle, to go down this path of being an energy healer and an author? Your book, The Thriving Code, is that one of your books?
Mm-hmm. It is.
Great title. How has it helped your life? And maybe even tell us a little bit about The Thriving Code and what that is.
I think for me, it makes me live in the present. It says my point of power is only in this present moment. If the past has been undone, did I learn something from the past? Yeah. Am I still mad? If I am, then I need to, put on my big girl shoes and deal with it. The future hasn't happened. So what I do in the present changes my future.
Right.
And so this is a place of power. I think it allows me to live energized and charged, and that things are an adventure, that all things are solvable. We may not like the options.
Yeah.
But there is an answer.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is a solution to it. But to me, I think I'm connected. I have an aliveness.
Mm-hmm. Nice. You do. And you're, you have a very light energy about you. And I think being an energy healer perhaps is an inside advantage for you of having a very light energy.
It is. I tell people it's the light touch. And I like humor because humor bypasses our conscious thought and it goes straight to our unconscious.
Yeah.
And what we could see in humor, we could never say in real life, so to speak. You know what I mean? It's like we could make it fun. And when somebody's being sarcastic versus it's like, oh, and I always tell people, when you've healed is when you can go back and make fun of it.
Yeah. And particularly when you can laugh at yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Laughing at other people, maybe not so much, but yeah, when you can look back on your life and what you used to call mistakes, you now just have kind of an affection for those times, those parts of your life, and you can even laugh at it.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I tell people, it's like, you beat yourself up and you're always critical. I just talked to a person before I came onto the show, and she was feeling so bad she wasn't doing enough. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, you're an overdoer already. So, cut that in half. And that's probably what most people would do, and give yourself a pat on the back. And I think we need to really self-love and self-acknowledge ourselves and be present. And because especially for women and creative people and mothers and that, because they're always giving out, to re-individualize and come back to our center core of love and to nurture ourselves so that we do give from a place of abundance, not from a place of lack or tiredness.
Mm-hmm. You've mentioned that a couple of times about self-love. So connect the dots for me. How do you see this sense of the importance of self-love and people living a conscious life and, being connected to their energy? What do you see as the connection there?
I think that's a great question, Jackie. I think self-love is that when you love and are accepting of yourself, you don't have any hooks and you're not at the mercy of other people because you don't have all those hooks. And so you don't get dragged into something. It's like, I love and approve of myself with all my flaws. And if you see something that goes, oh, you know what? I don't like that. And I thought, well, maybe I identify with that. I'll have to do some self-examination. Mm-hmm. But self-love and self-care keeps your energy up, your mind clear, your emotions balanced, and it allows you to be present and have fun, to just enjoy being.
Yeah. Right.
It's a concept, huh?
Yeah, right. The joy of just being, the joy of just being alive. I love that. I love that. And that is, to me, the blessing of living a conscious life and being engaged in conscious living. When you can love yourself, laugh at your foibles, not take yourself too seriously, that gives you such an open-hearted position for how to be with other people. Because if you're judging yourself, very good chance you're going to be judging others as well. So being able to bring that sense of self-love and paying attention to your energy, feeding your energy by being in nature and having good boundaries, and then you have so much more to bring to other people. And that's really my passion, is creating, through that process, how we then create a better world for everybody when we're not needing to self-protect and being so self-deprecating and self-critical.
Mm-hmm. If you want, I have one really quick exercise I could give people. It'd
be great.
Thoughts are heavy. So I tell people, if you've encountered somebody and you walk away and you're just going, oh boy, and you can tell because our shoulders drop, just, like rub your both hands together, your palms get a little warm there. And then you just take from your shoulder and you just run down your arm like you're going to pull something at the very end. And you're pulling it out. And you just do that a couple times. And then you put your hands out together, and you'll find the one that you just pulled off the residue wants to rise.
Oh, it feels lighter.
It feels lighter. And you can do it a couple times, and then always do the other arm. We always want to match that.
Unbalanced. Yeah.
Want to be unbalanced. And you do that. And I always say, when I throw it down, I just see it burning up because I don't want to throw it in anybody's environment.
Anybody else's.
Right. So it's incinerated. Yeah. And then you put them both out in. And I tell people, it's like thoughts are heaven. You can check. And kids love that. Kids are so good at this. It's just like, they're awesome because they can feel the energy. Yeah. And it lets people know at that time that they weren't imagining something.
Yeah. 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 Because they can actually feel the before and after difference.
Right. When I teach at Yavapai College in Sedona, that's one of the exercises I do when I teach Activate Your Healing Abilities.
Nice. Wonderful, Darielle. What an extraordinary breadth of knowledge that you have. I'm curious, if people want to get in touch with you, ask about your healing work or your Feng Shui work, where's the best way for people to find you?
They can go to I have two websites. The Positive Works has all my articles and everything, and my new website, the Energy First Aid.
The Energy First Aid.
Yeah, energyfirstaid.com.
Oh, Energy First Aid, not the, okay, energyfirstaid.com. That's a great URL.
It's a very fun, and because that's what I do. And, the logo looks like a multicolored like Band-Aid.
Oh, that is so great. That is so great.
And they can always reach me at Darielle at energyfirstaid.com.
Energyfirstaid.com. Darielle, thank you so much for your generosity and sharing your wisdom about energy and how we can take better care of ourselves and hopefully take better care of each other. So thank you for being with us today on the Conscious Living Podcast.
Thank you for being here, Jackie. I love the opportunity, and have a great day.
Awesome.